Okay, sorry for the delay, everyone. I thought someone was coming down. Turns out they weren't coming down and all that. So, okay, where was I? Okay, so yeah, I thought I'd be knocked out of the straight club, AA club for. So after that AP Calculus BC Chapter 2 test where I got 66%, I thought I was never gonna I was never gonna get back to the straight A club for the rest of the quarter or even the semester. So then I thought, okay, hey, whether you're out of it or not, just keep going, keep going, keep going. So I did, and then I started getting A's on my tests. I got a 105 out of 110 on my Chapter 3, followed by a 112 out of 120 on my Chapter 4. That one was a miracle. And then by the end of the quarter, I had a B plus in calculus. A lot better than anything lower, but yeah, so optimism. I was on my way. Well, on my way, even though I was not there. And then by the end of the quarter, I also had an A in AP US History. So that was another positive. I had an A in every single class except for calculus, which was a B plus. And then the World Series comes along, basically. And boy, that was a wild one. So crazy, I didn't even know. It was like, it could have gone any way at any moment. It was seriously that wild. I was kind of like I lean one team, but I predict the other one's gonna win. So basically, and all that, you can probably guess if you watched my prediction and my take on why the Houston Astros won, basically. And so yeah, and then. After taking my Chapter 5 test for AP Calculus BC, I got a 94 out of 100. So that was still progress. And I continue to maintain A's in all of my other classes for the rest of all the way up until now, and I still have for the rest of my classes. So now we're kind of like shifting out of the school events. Oh, I forgot to mention something. So homecoming. I have to say that was a really interesting week because that week you had like the fires and all that, you had the smoke and all that, and next thing you know, we have no football game, but we have an assembly indoors and all that. And we still have the dance. I'll say overall it was pretty good and all that, so yeah. Now I'll tell you one thing, I actually auditioned for the national anthem, but I was not chosen. Someone else was chosen, but hey, I had to be optimistic there. I can't be sour. She wanted fair and square. Can't be sour. So, what do? Be optimistic. And so, how was I optimistic? I said, you know what? You always have next year. You always have next year. So I told myself you always have next year. It made it easier to let go. And so yeah, there's always next year. And so now continuing. Okay, and then one of the best things happened ever in early November. Okay, I got drama teacher. My drama teacher approached me and she asked me, "Hey, you want to be our prompter for our school play?" I was like, "Oh." I was thinking, "Wait, really?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was thinking, this is the best. This is the next best thing I could have asked for, because I was like, I wanted to be like, the top notch, like the director, like whoever the director was and all that. I didn't, and basically said, "Oh, we're reserving it for we're reserving those positions for the more experienced students." But then she approached me with the offer of prompter, and I'm like, this is the next best thing. I took it, and believe me, it was kind of. I'll be honest, the job was hard because you always had, like a firefighter, you always had to be on standby, but most of the time you were just waiting, basically, and then it's like, they need you, and then it's action. But unfortunately, I started kind of dozing off a couple times, and yeah, so that was all my bad and all that. And so then, in other words, I kind of got to help out with a school play, basically, the school fall play, basically, or the winter play, whatever. It was pretty nice and all that. And all that, yeah. And so before I switch to next topics, I mean, the play was absolutely great, and so yeah, and by the time the plays came around, there was no more applications for prompter. So basically, I got to watch all 4 of the plays, and I was kind of like their critic, basically. So yeah. And so after that, actually the week of the weekend that the plays were going to kick off, I took my Chapter 6 and 7 test for AP Calculus BC. Boy, I'm not gonna lie, that test was actually hard. Actually hard. I thought I was gonna terribly fail that test again, and then all that. Thought I was gonna fail that test. And so then, 2 weeks later, speaking on the same path as that, we took our Chapter 8 test. I felt like I did good, but then I caught an error, basically, on that one. And so yeah. And I got those. Actually, one moment. I just forgot to mention. I wanted to mention something. So I went to my first teenage party on this Saturday, December 2nd, 2017. Well, I'm not going back to a teenage party again. No joke. Okay, no joke. Okay, some of that stuff they do. Why do they do some? I understand the music and all that, but why the heck do people do some of that stuff? I'm not gonna say what they did or who they did or where it took place, but I'm just gonna tell or who or what it was for or why. But basically it's like first time going to parties, first time seeing any of that stuff in my life, first time in my life, first party I went to, first time I seen any of that stuff in my life. I was like, no joke. On the inside I was gawking, basically. I was gawking because I never seen that stuff before. And all that. And unfortunately, okay, so Winter Ball comes around and all that, and all that. So this time I went single to Winter Ball and all that. And so I have to admit, I went in there. I was like, let's get ready to party. And next thing you know, it's like, okay. So the way I would describe it is, it's kind of like my experience was like when that main character goes on that emotional roller coaster. You're going ready to party. And then, for some reason, midway through, you're thinking, this is the worst thing I've ever done. And it's because it's like your memories trail you in there. Your some past actions or past experiences trail you in there. And yeah, it kind of really makes the experience very nasty because basically you can't hold on to that. I think, and one of those things was the party, basically, because the memory of that, basically. Because basically, of course, no one was doing any of that stuff that they were doing at the party. Because at Winter Ball, no one was doing any of that stuff I saw at the party. But the thing is, though, I think the thought of it was kind of like triggered by the music, and the reason I conclude that is because basically I've heard that type of music over and over again at like last year's homecoming, last year's Winter Ball, this year's homecoming, and now this year's Winter Ball. But yet I didn't exactly trigger nasty thoughts until this Winter Ball. So yeah, and all that. And then basically, that's okay. So after the weekend of Winter Ball. That Monday, I performed my German oral final. It went well, but could have been a lot better. But especially for some parts for me, but it was. I think it was good, decent. It was okay. Speaking on what I could do. I could have done a little bit better on line memorization for that. And then on Tuesday, I get my chapter 6 and 7 tests back. Actually, no. On Monday, I got my chapter 6 and 7 tests back, and then I got my chapter 8 test back the next day, and basically, I'm gonna ask you all to guess what grade I now have in AP Calculus BC. I'm gonna ask you to guess that. Yep, and then basically, wrapping up the school for this year, 2017, and then. Okay, so actually, and I honestly never talked about basically my extracurricular activities. So let me get to that now. Okay, so as for my baseball, basically the sport I'm going to be trying out for. So what happened was we started conditioning and all that, and next we actually did 2 weeks of open field, but then the person leading it, he's the head coach. He said he's just gonna stick with conditioning for until January, in which we'll do open field, but because he believes that if we went open field starting then, we would just spend exhausted by the time championships came around and all that. So yeah, so we did conditioning and all that. Oh, and at the same time, I signed up for like this WASAC committee thing, and basically it's like it's when the school writes a report basically for basically writes a report to like up to this I don't know, because I don't want to say school district because we have Casper Unified, but like there's like this region, and they write this report to this regional supervisional organization or something, and we were asked to volunteer to help like craft the report basically and all that. And so yeah, and then I ended up skipping 2 meetings in a row by accident. Don't ask me how I forgot. I just don't know. And then getting back to baseball, so what happened was during the last week of conditioning, the coach who was leading us, he was out on vacation early, so that turned out to be the end of our conditioning, and then so basically I decided, you know what, maybe I'll just do some stuff on my own basically. So basically for the past 2 or 3 weeks I've been going after school to past 2 or 3 weeks I've been going to the batting cages after school to hit with some of my friends who are also going out for varsity team. So yeah, my goal was varsity team, but I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna make it. But okay, but then that's when something crazy happened. For my Secret Santa in one of my classes, I got like this canvas. Basically, it was a picture of a baseball, and it had the word baseball under it. I can't shoot now because I left it at home. As you probably all know, I'm not at home right now, but we'll be back soon. Basically, I'll tell you where I am in just a second. But that canvas. At first, I was like, okay, not what I expected, but okay. And then I was thinking, you know what? But this is a really inspiring painting. And I thought, you know what? I want to thank this guy. So not knowing who the guy was, I stood in front of the entire class. And I was like, hey, I don't know who gave me this canvas, but it's absolutely lovely. And I made the wildest promise ever to him or her. At the time, it was like him or her, but then later, the next day, he told me, he revealed himself to me. I promised him that I would make varsity team because he gave me that, and it was so inspiring. So now I got a promise to fulfill. Now I got an obligation to fulfill. Can't back out of it now. No turning back. And so yeah, there's that. Okay, so right now, however, on Christmas Eve, we flew out to Denver, Colorado, and we're now somewhere in a small town in the Rockies called Frisco, Colorado. Soon, however, after we're done doing all our vacationing and all that, we'll return, basically. I'm not going to exactly reveal when. We'll reveal when, though. And so all that, yeah, basically. However, I want to wrap this up with, okay, so I want to wrap this up with 2 points. One, be free to guess what my current AP Calculus BC grade is right now, as of this moment. Okay? You don't exactly have to comment on this, but the next thing I'm going to ask you, I want you to comment if you have an answer. So, I did the math, and it turns out, okay, so tomorrow we're going skiing. If the incline is at least 30 degrees, okay? Actually, we're assuming it's it's constantly 30 degrees, okay? So assuming the incline is 30 degrees, and Okay, assuming the incline is 30 degrees, I predict that I could potentially reach terminal velocity in 11 seconds after skiing 948 feet, or about 285 meters. Do any of you dare me to ski up to that speed? I'm going skiing for 4 different days, so you have until then, and then to throw out a suggestion and all that. So yeah, those are the 2 questions. Anyway, have a wonderful. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful winter break to those of you who are on winter break. And finally, see you on New Year's Eve.